Jolan True Attack Wing fans, and welcome to another Antares Shipyard video. My name is Jerry, and I am one of the hosts of the live stream show called The Captain's Table over on the Antares Shipyard Twitch channel. I'll put the link in the description below. If you're unfamiliar with the show, the Captain's Table is designed to be a roundtable discussion between myself, my two co-hosts, David Montgomery of the Shipyard. You can find his channel here on YouTube as well. I'll put the description or the link in the description below. And James Sonis, a relative newcomer to this kind of scene, but somebody who's been in the attack wing community for a while. And we generally have a special guest come on to the show every week, just from the general attack wing community. And in this episode of the Captain's Table, we took a deep dive into the cards that came with the newest faction pack, one of the two, the Klingon Faction Pack Blood Oath. We look at each individual card, read the abilities out, and then we attempt to try and find some of the best combos and some combos that would work, some of the best builds to put the card in, maybe find the card's strengths / weaknesses, what's it good against, what's it's vulnerable to, and where it overall fits in the game today. The live stream videos are a couple hours long generally, so I did get a community suggestion to try and chop the videos up into segments for easy consumption here on YouTube, and that is actually what we have here today. This is the first trial run of this. I'm hoping that it's received fairly well. So in this video, it's going to be a clip from the live stream show. You have myself, David Montgomery, and then our special guest from the community, Dan Ward. He takes part in the Fremont Reformation League. He has played in the U.S. National Championship tourney in 2019. He's here from my local playgroup in Michigan. Overall, great guy. But we took a deep dive into the Blood Oath faction pack back in May when it came out. And this clip is just going to be going over the ships and the combos and stuff that came out for that. So if you like this kind of content, consider giving the video a thumbs up. That lets me know that you like this content, and I will continue to push these out. But also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. That way you receive more of our subspace communications from the Antares Shipyard. And thank you everybody for giving this video a watch, and I hope you enjoy. Live long and prosper. You guys ready to get into the first card?
Ready.
Yes.
All right, so we'll start with card number 1 from the deck, which is the I.K.S. Devwl. Now, the interesting story behind the name, from what I've got from Steven Van Devender, part of the WizKids, I guess, playtest team. He's been doing a lot of the unboxings on YouTube too. Interesting story about the name is that it's not actually referenced in Alpha Canon, but it is a reference to Star Trek Online and some of the class of Klingon ships that they have there. So just a nice little side note on that. It is a Negh'Var Class. When attacking, if the ship is cloaked, disable a Klingon crew upgrade equipped to this ship. Do not flip this ship's cloak token to its red side and place a battle station token beside this ship. It's got tech, weapon, and 3 crew slots, coming in at a reduction down from, I believe it was 32, down to 28. So definitely a good improvement there. How about we throw it over to David, and we'll let you start.
All right. I think it was 30, but either way, still a nice reduction. So we have this notion: A, we want to be cloaked.
Yep.
And B, we have 3 crew slots, and we're gonna disable crew to really keep that involved. Well, there's some nice Klingon crew that are fairly cheap. I'm looking at Koth, the mirror Klingon crew. He does his stuff in setup. So he's kind of like a Gen Cisco. Once he does his stuff, now he can be discarded, disabled, whatever you want, and he's just done. We also want to make use of that battle station once we have it. So why not put on a crew like Worf? Convert your blanks to hits, and now you got a battle station there to clean up the rest of the mess.
Yeah.
It's a nice combo. You can throw a nice weapon on there, any kind of tech. I haven't really thought through the rest of that. And for a cheap crew, why not put something like Grilka on there to prevent some of those Ferengi shenanigans with gold press latinum, or at least make them more expensive?
That's a good point.
And if your opponent doesn't bring those, she's only 1 point, and she's a nice second use of this ability without having to use an action.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. The I.K.S. Negh'Var is 30 points. The Regent's flagship is 32. But that does not get the reduction. Well, the generic mirror universe won't get the reduction because they have a different stat line, I believe.
Yeah, I think they get a fourth shield.
Yeah. Dan, do you have any interesting combos?
Well, obviously MRS. We
Yes.
talked about that privately, but when you put that battle station token down, you can remove a disabled token from a crew. I think that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, that's where I first went with it when I saw the ship reveal. Was this ship is ripe for MRES. Granted, you're going to get the faction penalty, but she's going to re-enable whatever crew pretty much immediately. So you could really fill that Klingon crew slot with anybody.
Yeah.
The Captain Worf in this set is also a good option instead of using the crew Worf, because you spend a battle station and he turns everything. It's pretty much perfect. Oh, the Worf, not from this set, the Federation set.
What do you guys think about Koloth as a captain? Koloth 7, when attacking, place 2 time tokens on the card, and then the defending player must disable a captain or a crew upgrade equipped to the defending ship.
That could work. Yeah, that could work. I think there's definitely a card in the Federation Faction Pack that could make that a little more interesting. At least I think she works. Yeah. But we'll get to Boldly Go in the future here. But yeah, I think David's on the right path, and I think Dan has a good point with MRES. Bringing MRES on board would definitely set the ship up for continuous cloak, and battle stations pretty much every round or every turn. Really, when attacking, so you're going to get that battle station at the start of the attack, or the start of the combat phase. No, when you start attacking.
Yeah. So you could do something. I'd put maybe Captain Lursa, the one that gives you the free sensor echo. Worf, MRES, Koth on this, and have fun.
Yeah.
It's a little pricey, but still should fit under 50.
Yeah, I can definitely see this definitely being a staple for a Klingon fleet. I think the 90-degree arc hurts it, but it's a bigger ship, so it's going to have that arc. No rear firing arc, but you could throw on
Disruptor cannon.
There's no rear arc, so I don't think disruptor
that's the rear arc, yeah.
But you got the Alliance dorsal phaser array that's not faction locked. You could throw on there for just a three dice attack if you really wanted to. If you're worried about somebody getting behind you. Because I don't think... Let me pull the movement card here. I mean, it's got to come about in 2 white turns. So it's not as tanky as the Galaxy, but I think movement's definitely an issue for the Negh'Var. That's really the only issue I see. I don't think it's going to stop me from playing it.
No, you could also have a friendly ship with Admiral Forrest.
True.
Because you're not using your action, and you've already got near perfect quality.
That's true.
So,
all right, let's go ahead and move over to the next card. Oh. So the next card is just okay. There we go. Next card is just the generic Negh'Var class. Point reduction is obviously the biggest thing here, down to 24. I think it's really the biggest thing to note. Point reduction puts it in line with, I believe the Vorn is 24 points, and that's a ship that I like to run. I don't know, do you guys have any thoughts on just the generic Negh'Var?
I think it can see some play in missions.
Okay, yeah.
But I don't think it's like the greatest thing ever, because of what you were saying about movement limitations, arc limitations. You do have to keep those things in mind. But at 24 points, it's a nice baseline for a mission ship.
Yeah. It will definitely work well with one of the missions that come in this pack, I think. Which I don't have copies of in TTS yet, but they have a copy. I think they did this before, but they came out with this one. This is like both players are Klingons attacking DS9, but it's from the episode Way of the Warrior.
Yeah,
and that's like both players are. Yeah, players get 100 SP. All ships must be Klingon and Klingon only cards, and you attack a stationary Deep Space Nine, and it says it's got infinite hull and 20 shields. So, good luck. But yeah, I think that's probably a good use for that. It's definitely mission play. I don't really see it being a candidate for a swarm or a support ship.
No.
By any means. Okay. So let's move on to card number 3, which is the I.K.S. Kantanko. So, it is a Katinga class, 4143. It says, you may equip a Klingon tech upgrade with a printed cost of 4 SP or less to this ship for free, even if it exceeds this ship's restrictions. 2 weapon slots, 2 crew slots, at 21 points. Again, the point reduction is nice. I don't remember what the generics were for them. Not off the top of my head anyway. Let's do this. Okay. Talking about the card ability, the equipping a Klingon tech for free with a cost of 4. This card's a little harder. It's a little harder to work with, but I do think there are some techs that you want to take. The only one that really comes to mind for me is Klingon cloaking device. I think that's 3 or 2 SP itself. But free is free, and that'll at least give you some kind of quality on defense. And then, if you needed to, you can stay cloaked. How about you, Dan? Did you find anything interesting about this card?
I had a hard time with this card really, I probably wouldn't play it very often, but I was looking at maybe dispersive armor,
Okay.
where you can force them to have their weapon value set at 4 and they don't get to replace or modify it.
Yeah, that's an interesting card. I looked at it. I've never played with it, so I'm not 100% familiar with the card interaction for that, and it sounds messy, but that's okay.
That's at least a good option to say, all right, you are shooting me with 4 dice and only 4 dice, period.
Yeah.
So I went into Utopia and said, okay, Klingon tech 4 or less cost, and just tried to read and go, what even works? Well, I came up with auxiliary power to shields, and this is, you would probably never play it except for the fact that it's free. And it says, when defending during the deal damage step, you may discard this card to immediately repair up to 2 of your shields that were destroyed with that attack. Place an Aux Power token beside your ship for each shield token you repaired with this ability. I know there's other things in this pack that utilize auxiliary power tokens.
Yeah.
So I think there's a little synergy there. And this is essentially getting back to shields for free. Is that the best? Probably not, but maybe it's the start of something.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're going for here is, hey, we're finding something for each card.
Yeah. Yep, that's what we're doing here. But I really, this card was, I like the ability. I just wish the Klingons had more tech that was of use. Because, you know, we're talking Klingons, one of the first things people are going to think of is projected stasis field. And that, unfortunately, is 5 points. So, I mean, I think the wording or the ability just misses the mark for me, but just a tiny bit. I'm not saying it's a bad card, because I don't believe there is such a thing. Not, at least not in my mind. But I think they could have gone just a little further with it. And maybe that was a playtesting. Maybe they did playtest it at 5 and they found it was too powerful, so they brought it back down. I'm not sure. I just don't think there's enough Klingon tech to really warrant me trying to play this ship outside of a mission, really.
And maybe this is another one of wait 2 years, it'll be better.
Yeah, I mean,
but I have a love-hate with those kinds of things because I'm still waiting for that data core from the Hirogen card pack to be of use.
yeah. I don't really know what to make of that card when I saw it, but yeah,
Nope.
I agree. Dan, do you have anything else to add for this ship?
No.
No.
This one was difficult for me.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, so with that, we will move on. In chat, if you guys have a good Klingon tech that you think would be good to hide under this, please let me know. I do think there is a question out there about maybe hiding a dual faction card under this. I don't know if there's any dual faction tech.
Well, Klingon cloaking device is Klingon mirror.
That's right.
It should work. It is Klingon.
Yeah, I mean, in my mind, it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just say it works, and I'm not gonna poke WizKids to figure that one out.
No.
As long as everyone says it works, it works.
It works.
All right, so let's move over to the generic for the Katingas. There we go, card number 4. So we do get 2 generic Katingas in this pack, and they both have different slot loadouts, but both slot loadouts are already in the game. So really, what we're getting here is an updated point cost for the Katinga. So we're sitting at 4-1, 4-2, so we lose the shield, and we're losing a crew slot with this one. So we got 2 weapons and a crew. I think the point reduction is great. There are better Klingon ships that I'm going to pick to swarm. But other than that, it's an okay point cost. I mean, I think the Keldons probably beat it out on their point costing, even though they're, I think, 16, 17 themselves. But I think they're just a little bit better. Has anybody got anything to add to that?
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
I'm with David.
Okay. All right. So with that, let's move on to the next one, because really the generics aren't really what people are here to see. So we've got the I.K.S. It's Takag, or Takoji, depends on however you want to say it. Let's throw these off to the side there. Okay, so we got a 4143 Katinga class, free action. Those are good words. Free action. Perform a cloak action even if the ship isn't cloaked. Did I say cloak? Perform a sensor action if the ship isn't cloaked. If the ship is cloaked, you may use a 3 straight maneuver template for this action. So, I do like this ability. I think it's the better ability of the 2 Katingas. You're getting to perform a sensor echo action outside of being cloaked. You know, it's not, for this ship, you don't have to be cloaked to use the action. Even if you are cloaked, you just get that much more room to sensor echo. There is one card that I find wants to be on this ship, and I want to see if you guys can guess it off my head here. But we'll go with David, and we'll start with him.
Well, I have a captain in mind. And it's one, if I named him, I'd get thrown out of the Klingon Empire.
Yeah, I think we're on the same track.
All right. So it's Captain Larus.
Yes.
From the Romulan, well, from the animated pack, but the Romulan Captain Larus, I don't know.
Larus, I think, yeah. If I remember from that episode, I think it's
But
Larus.
Yeah, he gets you battle stations when you do a sensor echo action.
Yes.
It's a match made in heaven here. Or maybe it's a match made in Stovacor. One of the two. It doesn't matter. Anyways, it's a match made for Star Trek Attack Wing because this is get more free stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And free stuff is good.
There we go. There's Larus. Yeah, and I like that Larus, he's not predicated on the ship being cloaked either. Just as long as it does a sensor echo action, you're going to get that battle station plus 1 attack die. That's exactly the minute I read when I sat down to look at the cards last night to find these combos, I said, well, there's really one captain here. The other captain I had in mind is Chang. And that's really 2 sensor echo and then sensor echo again. But Larus is definitely the number 1 captain I would have to put on the ship if I were to run this ship. How about for you, Dan?
You guys, well, Loris, I came up with that one as well, but I'm thinking as a crew, Lescat, because then you get to perform another sensor echo action as a free action if you do a red maneuver. And you get to treat that as green, and I like the maneuverability. I think that could cause headaches for somebody.
Yeah. Let's get I mean there's Sinon. There's Sinon who also increases your template that you can use to sensor echo with. Whoops. Get those out of there. So here's Lescat.
Then you never have to cloak.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I definitely think that this is probably the better of the two Katingas in talking card text wise. I don't know if it'll see super competitive play. Of course, I'm not the super competitive player out of the three of us. I haven't been in that meta that long to really know. Um, I definitely I can see a spot for it though. It can be a niche.
I'm not sure if it hits like the top crust of it, but I think there's a fringe playable aspect to it.
I see it as a harassing type of ship.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can see it. I see this being played by really good people when we get missions, the OP scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Yeah.
this definitely has a role, because if you have to go to a certain target, this is a nice way to get in there and mess around with everything. And like you're straight up, okay, I kill you, you kill me. We don't have to do anything else. I don't know that it's quite there yet.
Yeah, I'm thinking that people are gonna love the sensor echo action not being cloaked.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then even when you are cloaked, you just get to move that much further because as a player, I do fly a Klingon ship, and I am cloaked. At least I tend to be cloaked for most of the game, and I try to sensor echo my way either out of arc or into a better firing position for my own ship. That's just one of my go-tos. So I mean, the ship definitely speaks to me. I wouldn't expect it, like for the Fremont group, I wouldn't expect to see it being run in the TOS division or that top tier division.
No.
Maybe DS9 lower decks, maybe fringe TNG, depending on the player. But yeah, I wouldn't expect to see it way up in the top competitive group.
I do think this is a ship that you will have to practice with to really know when you want those 3 echoes and when you want to just stick to the 1-2s, because that's a learning curve too.
Oh yeah, definitely trying to get that to visualize moving sideways like that, because three is a long way from where you were. I mean, 1 or 2. I'm fair. Speaking as the player who plays sensor echoes a lot, 1, 2 I can visualize, but that's because I've done it over and over again, like you said. Throwing a 3 in there might throw me off a little.
Yeah, if you're not good at maneuvering, this could be difficult for you.
Yeah, but definitely, play it and get used to it. I think it'd be interesting to see it in a fleet that is designed to move. So like this, I think the D7 Romulan Talon, where you can bank, and then you can sensor echo if you're cloaked off of that. Or the Saran from the Romulans, Thomas Riker. I definitely think it's built for a fleet that's going to be moving. You know, they're not going to be in the same spot they were a minute ago. They're going to be moving all over the place.
We'll call it the "now you see me, now you don't" fleet.
Ooh, like it.
By the way, dibs. You can call it something else, or you can credit me on it, but you can't name it and not credit me on it.
You got it. All right, so let's get the next card out, which is going to be the generic for this one. Not much else to say about the generic. Drop down to 16 points. This is the Tech Weapon Crew version of the generic card. Let's get on to the Kos'Karii. So here we go. We've got a Devwl class, Klingon Independent Faction, I.K.S. Kos'Karii, 4133, coming in at 16 points, 2 weapon slots, 2 crew slots. When attacking a ship with a hull value of 4 or greater, steal a scan token, a battle station token, or an evade token from beside the defending ship and place it beside this ship. When attacking a Klingon ship or a ship with a Klingon captain equipped to it, add 1 hit. Okay, so there's a lot. There's 2 different abilities with this ship. I'll be interested to see. But did you find anything, Dan?
I was struggling with this one as well. I like the idea of being able to steal tokens, and I like that it's not a range restricted ability where you have to be up close and personal.
Yeah.
So I like it. I just haven't figured out what I'd like to do with it. Is it a first strike type of ship? Is it a cleanup after you do some attacks? Is it a cleanup type of thing? That's where I'm at with that.
Okay. I do feel if it's going to have a captain skill, it's whatever captain you equip to it, it's going to have to be attacking first or near the top. That way you can take advantage of stealing a token. How about you, Dave?
2 things came to mind. The first was get cloaked mines in your fleet so that there's a chance that a ship is taking the scan action. Now that's rare, but it's at least an option. The second, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say there's a Borg, either ship or one of the Borg queens that will steal tokens as well.
Mhm.
And so having both of those in a fleet, I mean, you're doubling down on the risk. But the challenge for me, it seems like this game is moving away from tokens and into card abilities that do things.
Yeah,
So
I can see that.
I like the second part of the ability a lot. In fact, I kind of like this ship without having to do much to it. Just a nice passive ability. If there's a Klingon ship or a ship with a Klingon captain, just you get an extra hit.
Yeah,
Great. So sometimes that helps, sometimes it doesn't.
And I mean, let's be honest. There is a couple of Klingon captains that are, I mean, they're fairly strong in the meta right now. They're fairly prevalent. Reroll core comes to mind. You know, old core, as a lot of people have nicknamed it, or young core, sorry, as people have named him.
Tune core.
Tune cores, he's getting popular. But either way, they're all Klingon captains, so let's add a hit right there.
Yeah, the Kelvin verse Klingon ships are good ships, and hey, those are Klingon ships.
That's true too. I mean, talk about people running Burrell swarms. I mean, here you go. You got a ship that's at least adding 1 for those Klingon ships. I definitely think that this ship pairs well with the albino, and I think that was the intention, given that this whole pack is based around pretty much the Blood Oath episode. And this is supposed to be his ship, even though technically on screen he never had a ship. So, but I think this pairs well with him, and we'll definitely get to him here in a minute, because I believe this is the last Burrell. And I know a lot of people, when they saw this ship, they were up in arms because this is a Klingon independent, and we technically have a Klingon independent. But, you know, with the Klingon, with Lurin's Bird of Prey bringing in the Klingon Ferengi, with the Ferengi being folded into the independent, I wouldn't be surprised to maybe see WizKids pull the Ferengi out of that situation. Because I think with the Ferengi Faction Pack, it kind of boosted the Ferengi higher than the rest of the independent factions. I wouldn't be surprised if and when they do some kind of update like that, that's something they look at. Which then,
here's hoping.
Yeah. But yeah, I struggled to find a good combo for this card, but I think the use here is definitely going to be a deterrent against other Klingon ships or Klingon captains that you know are coming to the tournament, or wherever you're playing.
How do you guys feel about putting Gorn Ale on this?
I feel good about it.
Getting those two extra attack dice.
No, I feel like that's a solid strategy, actually. There is a build, and we'll talk about it, because it's a build that I've been working on when I saw it, but we'll definitely get there because it's the elite talent that's in this pack that makes this build work.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get there. We'll touch on that, but I think Meridoran Goran Ale is definitely an option for the ship and integral to that build. Okay, let's move on to the next ship here, which is the generic Klingon Independent Devwl Class 4132 Weapon Crew. I don't think that this upgrade bar was in the game yet, but we've already had the recosting of the Devwl Class down to 13. There's really nothing much else to say here. People are going to swarm with this Devwl Class, and it's something that the Fremont group was fairly good at trying to cap, but I think we're getting away from that there as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this ship among those Klingon Ferengi ships. You guys have anything to add on to that?
No, it's a
Nope.
solid swarm ship. Love it or hate it, it's there.
Right.
So it lets you do a lot with a little.
Yeah. Okay, so I believe that is it for the ships. So we are now moving into captain territory.